Dr. Engel, a lecturer in environmental sciences at Britain's Open University, has been collating examples of self-medicating behavior in wild animals. She recently published a book on the subject in the town in Edinburgh Science Festival earlier this month. She explained that the idea that animals can treat themselves has been regarded with some skepticism by her colleagues and in the past, but at a growing number of behaviorists now think that wild animals can deal with their own medical needs. One example of self-medication was discovered in 1987. Michael Huffman and Mehdi Seifu, working in the Madins National Park in Tanzania, noticed that local chimpanzees suffering from intense worms would dose themselves with the pit of plant called Veronia. This plant produces poisonous chemicals called terpenes. Its pith contains a strong enough to kill the gut parasites, but not so strong to kill chimps, nor people for that matter. Locals use pith for the same purpose. Given that the plant is known locally as goat killer. However, it seems that not all animals are smart as chimps and humans. Some consume it indiscriminately and succumb. Since the Veronia eating chimps were discovered, more evidence has emerged suggesting that animals often eat things for medical rather than nutritional reasons. Many for many species, for example, consume dirt and behavior known as geophagy. Historically, the preferred explanation that was that soil supplies minerals such as salt. But geophagy occurs in areas where the earth is not a useful source of minerals, and also places where minerals can be more easily obtained from certain plants that are known to be rich in them. Clearly, the animals must be getting something else out of eating dirt. The current belief that is soil, and particularly in the clay in it. And particularly in clay in it. It helps to detoxify the defensive poisons that some plants produce in the attempt to prevent themselves from being eaten. Evidence for the detoxifying nature of clay came in 1999 from an experiment carried out on macaws by James Gartley and his colleagues from at the University of California, Davis. Macaws eat seeds containing alkaloids, a group of chemicals that has some nutritiously toxic members, such as strychnine. In the wild, the birds are frequently seen perched on a rolling riverbank eating clay. Dr. Galadri fed one of the macaws a mixture of harmless alkaloid and clay, and the second group just the alkaloid. Several hours later, the macaws had eaten the clay had 60% less alkaloid in their bloodstreams than those had not, suggesting the hypothesis is correct. Other observations also support the idea that clay is detoxifying. Towards the tropics, of amounts of toxic compounds in plants increases, and so does the amount of earth eaten by herbivores. Elephants lick clay for mud holes all year round, except in September where they are binging on fruit which, because it has evolved to be eating, is not toxic. And the addition of clay in diets of the domestic cattle increases the amount of nutrients that they can absorb from their food by 10 to 20%. A third instance of self-medication is in the use of mechanical succors. Sorry, wait for me a bit, key here to get rid of the gut parasites. In 1972, Richard Wrangham, a researcher at the Gombe Stream Reserve in Tanzania, noticed that chimpanzees were eating the leaves of a tree called Aspelia. The chimps chose the leaves carefully by testing them in their mouths. Having chosen the leaf, the chimp were folded into a fan and swallowed it. Some of the chimps were noticed wrinkling their nose as they swallowed their leaves, suggesting the experience was unpleasant. Later, the undigested leaves were found on the forest floor. Dr. Wrangham rightly guessed that the leaves had a medicinal purpose. This was indeed one of the earliest interpretations of behavioral pattern as self-medication. However, he gets wrong about what the mechanism was. His and everybody else's assumption was the Spelia contained a drug that and this sparked more than 2 decades of phytochemical research to find out what chemical the chimps were after. But by the 1990s, chimps across Africa had been seen swallowing the leaves of 19 different species that seem have to be those chemicals in common. The drug hypothesis was looking more and more dubious. It was Dr. Huffman who got to the bottom of the problem. He did so by watching what came out of the chimps, rather than concentrating what went in. He found that the ingested leaves were full of intestinal worms. The factor common to all 19 species of leaves swallowed by the chimps was that they were covered with microscopic bugs. These caught the worms and dragged them from their lodgings. Following that observation, Dr. Engel is now particularly excited about how knowledge of the way that animals look after themselves could be used to improve health of livestock. People might also be able to learn a thing or two, and may indeed already have done so. Faggy, for example, is a common behavior in many parts of the world. The medical stores in African markets frequently sell tablets made of different sorts of clays, appropriate to different medical conditions. Africans brought to Americas as slaves continue to this tradition, which gave their owners one more excuse to despise them. Yet, as Dr. Engel points out, Rwandan mountain gorillas eat a type of clay rather than similar to cow linnet. The main ingredient of many patent medicines sold over the country in the West for digestive complaints. Third can sometimes be good for you and to be as sick as a prior may. After all, be a state to be desired. That's all for today. Thank you.